Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about an experience that I've had in the blistering heat of the Thai rainy season around prostitution, around massage, touch, around transcendence, and in romantic chemistry. And so I'll just give a little bit of context. Both myself and my Filipina girlfriend have a traumatic abuse history, both experiencing levels of PTSD directly due to childhood violence and a lack of repair on the part of our parents, and the collusion of the culture in silence and submerging those betrayals rather than protecting the individual. And in that context, early childhood attachment templates have been skewed, at least for me in particular. And so I have a very strong need to hold very tight or dissociate. It's very hard to regulate the middle ground, because when there's terror and trauma, one needs to cling tightly or dissociate. And so this is one of the long-term impacts that can happen with a mother that is physically violent, somewhat sexually inappropriate, and is unable to connect with her own feelings, her own emotions enough to be present to the emotions of her child when it's more of an object in that state of profound vulnerability. And more recently, I've just experienced a trauma in which the therapists and community leaders that I turned to for help around this issue ended up sexually, psychologically hurting me deeply in the context of psychedelics. And so in that context, I was very aware, hyper aware of how easy it was to hurt someone who's been deeply traumatized in that area. I've also, as a result of taking workshops with the Human Awareness Institute, been pretty touch positive and, expanded in my sense that touch is generally a good thing, that we need more touch in our lives, that we should pay attention to our bodies, etc. So generally, while I enjoy monogamy with a very deep and close relationship, I've defined monogamy in a very nuanced way as no genital contact with the intent of arousal. What I mean is, I will not touch someone's breasts or vagina with the intention of arousing them. And I will not allow a woman or a man to touch my penis or balls with the intention of arousing me. And this intention boundary is a very important one, because if you are in clothing optional communities or in a nude hot tub or skinny dipping or having a good massage, it is quite probable that there will be incidental contact with the whole body. It just happens. But that's a very different intention and context than the massage or arousal protocol. And so it is an intention and an action. I will not touch with this intention. And there are very few reasons to touch someone's sexual organs other than incidental, accidental interface in a clothing optional environment or massage environment than to sexually arouse someone. So it's a pretty clear framework. That being said, many people, and my Asian girlfriend in particular, did not have this open-minded context, and with deep abandonment issues in her life, She literally was traumatized by the idea of me having a massage with someone I am attracted to. And that's another important distinction, because I'm attracted to just about any woman who is kind, sensitive, present, and likes me. It's that simple. If someone is kind, sensitive, that means they're responsive and they connect in nuanced ways. Their body responds, their face lights up. I find this beautiful, and I find that beauty to be arousing. And so, while certainly there can be an addition of the benefit of symmetry and vitality within the body, certain bodies elicit more lust, I am attracted to those qualities. I also do not like people without those qualities touching my body. I don't like rough, insensitive, unpresent touch. I don't like cruelty or unkindness touching my body. I like the energy of care, which is a certain form of love. Joy in the presence is one expression of love. And so my girlfriend is too small, not very interested, and doesn't do a very good job massaging me, and doesn't particularly like to be massaged. And so in a rich and abundant culture in which some of the best masseuses and masseurs exist, although it's probably 95% masseuses, I like to have a regular massage. This, however, creating a panic, because I also believe in candor, and so it's me talking about the affection that I feel and that is felt for me by a masseuse in that context that triggered the insecurity. So my first, in a high growth initial period of the relationship, without making an agreement, the agreement of monogamy being no genital contact with the intention of arousal, I cut down my massage 98% to accommodate the insecurity and the feelings of my partner initially. Secondly, I worked hard over an 18-month period in a new relationship to build strong security in the relationship, moving towards marriage, building skills, creating a permanent residence, within the relationship, so that her sense of security and her history with me, I've never lied to her, I've never cheated on her, I've never lied to any friend or partner, never cheated on any friend or partner. Plus, having her meet the masseuses, etc., and have a massage a few times, educating her in the environment to give a sense of security, of safety. And in the initial period of the relationship, she was on a very high growth curve within the relationship. Learning this, reading this book, studying this, starting a small business, doing active things to grow, because a deep insecurity is founded on an inability to depend on oneself. In other words, if you depend on yourself with certainty to create deep love when and where you want it, to create physical, emotional, and mental safety and well-being when and where you want it, you do not feel jealous and desperate and panicky around someone meeting their needs outside of the relationship. One might feel sad, like, gee, I would really love it to be you that I meet my needs with and not someone else, but I can meet my needs one way or another. And frankly, I want you to be happy. I love you. Go meet your needs where you want to meet them. But when one does not have the certainty, in fact, when one has the certainty that one has never experienced survival and security in that survival and love and belonging, then the threat of losing that is enormous. And there's only one way to work on that threat, and that is to take action that increases self-reliance, skills, practices, experiences, new friends, resources outside the relationship. And so, one of my great goals in any relationship is to see that both people have enough money, time, health, freedom, etc., to walk away from the relationship at any point in a good state without their life falling apart. Now, to do that in our culture, we need social skills, financial skills, resources, backup plans, the ability to manage one's own state without depending on one's partner, etc., etc. But this is a gray scale. It's a gray scale. Most of us will experience withdrawal symptoms, grief, shame, uncertainty, panic, etc., because we don't have those skills and history of certainty around being loved, welcome, belonging, sexually satisfied, known, understood, valued, etc. We don't have that history. And so initially, as I said, I cut down the competition to give us a time to grow. But there came a period in the last 6 months where that growth has been tapering off. Like in the first 18 months, my partner literally grew 3,600% in the cumulative growth of a number of different metrics. So for example, just to get a sense of how that number works is if someone doesn't know how to swim and then they learn how to swim competently, and they go through a system of first they're twice as good, then they're twice as good at that, then so you say, okay, you've gone through a 600% growth curve and you're swimming. So 600% swimming. What about starting a business? What about the art of selling? What about the art of communicating feelings? What about the art of meditation? What about the art of healing one's inner child? What about the art of understanding the language? What about the art of asking? So there's a tapestry of skills in human relationship that are necessary in order to engage confidently with the world. And those skills need to be broken down and measured separately with varying degrees of terror to complete mastery in each area. And so she grew 3,600% and counting in the first 18 months. And that began to taper off. At the same time, her security went up substantially from a short-term relationship to becoming fiancé, to starting a business, to having her own bank account, to saving money, to learning how to drive a motorbike, to getting her passport, to getting her visa to the United States, to to having her own apartment. So there's having her own dog as an external relationship, meeting new friends. So there's an explosion of well over 1,000% more security, and it's sustainable over time, in which that whole time she's been safe, physically, financially, not always emotionally, but physically, financially, logistically, etc., with more and more confidence and resources as she's gone out and tested ventures and traveled alone and basically simulated in every sense a life that she could then take this and move forward as should the relationship end, which is I think a good standard to aim for, that both people could move forward because they've mastered and internalized the necessary skills. So at a certain point of safety, her growth just dropped off, and she seemed bored and just unmotivated to do her own healing work around trauma, to learn language, to whatever. Now at this point, she became a less enjoyable partner. I mean, if someone is not growing and enjoying life and excited and having new experiences and moving outward, there's a stagnation. Being around a stagnant person to the degree that we've been around each other 24/7 in most cases, when we're together and then talking 3 or 4 hours on the phone when I'm in the US and she's in Phuket in our apartment, is not as fun. So the quality of the relationship for me goes down with her reluctance to grow, number one. Number two, her self-enjoyment and enjoyment of life goes down when her growth stops. Number three, the sense of urgency or emotional immediacy of importance goes down. And so, but I was very much bound to the feeling of responsibility for her feelings and her safety and wanting to be kind. And so my frustration about being contained, built up more. And at a certain point, I realized I was the nag now. Rather than the guide, the way shower, the teacher, I was now the nag. And it's like, have you grown today? Have you read anything? Have you done this? Have you wrote something? Did you do? It's more like, no. A few days after day. And so it seemed healthy at having created the sustainability to reintroduce kind of the element of free market. And the free market principle in relationship is the principle that much with any object or service, that you work for the client who appreciates you the most and who pays you the most, and who uses your skills to best effect, and who's most enjoyable to work with. If you have one client that complains, doesn't pay you, doesn't use your skill well, and you don't enjoy them, you got the other client. In the free market, you give your full service to the one that brings the most value to the relationship. Another way, in the very simplified version of that in capitalism, the job, the product goes to the highest bidder. Now, in the free market paradigm of relationships, it's optimal that people spend time with the people who appreciate them the most, are most attracted to them, learn the most from them, and in short, in as many dimensions as possible, co-create as much value as possible relative to the costs. Meaning what makes it sustainable is, because you learn in business, if someone makes a $3 billion sale, sounds great, doesn't it? Until you learn that the company has to spend $4 billion to deliver $3 billion worth of goods, which means the company just lost $1 billion in net profit on the transaction. And so it's an algorithm of return on investment, where for every hour I spend, this person grows 200% and enjoys themselves 800%, and or 8 out of 10, and smiles 10 times in an hour, and this other person sulks 3 times, scowls 8 times, doesn't learn anything, doesn't appreciate anything. That's the free market economy. And of course, the world is a better place when we spend time with people that co-create value per unit of energy invested, basically. So with her, basically with her fear down, the growth went down. Fear is a great teacher, it's a great motivator, and it substitutes for discipline. Now, realizing I did not want to be a nag, and realizing that because her attitude had collapsed by about 40%, it was 40% of what it was, I wanted to spend time with some of the many other, social opportunities. Primarily, I love spending time with the Thai masseuses. Not sexually, but sensually. Again, that concept, no genital contact with the intent to arouse. But I love massaging the Thai masseuses. I love flirting. I love talking. I love spending time. I love learning Thai. I love their presence. I love the touch. I love the great massage. It is a wonderful social experience with human beings who enjoy their work. If they don't, I obviously don't work with them. There are hundreds to choose from. And so I announced that I would be spending more and more time, on a daily massage, and held space for and talked about why exactly, where the growth had gone down, where my frustration was, where my anger was, where my disappointment was, where my hurt was, because in providing safety for someone to grow, it's very disappointing to have them grow less, not more. But it can be very human, particularly when the initial motivation is fear. And so I cultivated relationships with 3 magnificent masseuses, each one with varying degrees of sensuality and attraction, different energies, different vibes. And one in particular is one of the most sexual, sensuous, gorgeous young women I've ever met, who's incredibly horny a lot of the time and wants to have sex with me. And, I keep the boundary of no genital contact with the intent to arouse, amidst a barrage of flirtation that is not financially based. She likes me. And I believe in transparency, and so I keep my partner aware of that level, my own attraction to her, where I do not feel at all attracted to a relationship with her, because listening to her story and her preferences and drives, it's very clear that we are not compatible as a relationship. Sexually, I find her one of the most exuberant human beings I've ever met. But in opening up that space, my partner has increased in attitude and in responsiveness by between 300% and 600%. I don't have to do any nagging anymore. And what I'm reflecting on is, certainly in an ideal world, she'd be growing, being warm and grateful and appreciative for whatever gifts, etc., on her own initiative, out of discipline. That is not the case to the degree that I would like. The fact that on an almost daily basis an absolutely gorgeous woman is wanting to have sex with me, and that it is only my boundary that precludes that, is very motivating to her, and it's been an interesting effect. Her appreciation and respect for me has gone up significantly. Her trust in me has gone up significantly. And when I described that the masseuse came in with a towel today after just showering, and tried to arrange herself in a way that the towel would fall off, and I put the towel back on her. She did not seem to have believed or registered the fact that I've never cheated on a person, and I've never lied to a person, and that if I want to have sex with someone, I will change my agreements and not break the agreements. I will have sex with the person that I want to have sex with, which will be based not on my level of lust, but on my sense of whether or not it will bring well-being in the short and long term relative to other options. I do not feel that this masseuse is going to bring long-term well-being by being sexual. Yet I feel more sexual desire for her than anyone on the planet, including my partner. And yet some of that sexual energy has migrated to the partner relationship, for 2 hours of being horny with an absolutely amazing woman and holding a boundary, leads to coming home and wanting to express some of that energy. There's been something very liberating in the communication about that. The awareness that yes, I am very attracted to her sexually. The psychological attraction, you go to a massage shop and hello, welcome, how lovely to see you, what a nice man you are. I mean, this is nice, top VIP type experience versus what'd you do today, I'm bored. It is behavior in a man and a woman that attracts. It's not the innate man or woman. That same masseuse could completely turn me off by being rude and insulting, and my wife or partner could completely turn me on much more than that masseuse. It's not personal to the person. It's about behavior. It's about context. It's about need. And even in the sense, it's about options, meaning I feel more sexual, more secure, more alive and happy when I feel the abundance of being able to drive this road and meet this person I like who's happy to see me, or this road and this person I like who's happy to see me, or this road and this person I like who's happy to see me, or stay at home with this person who's happy to see me. And that sense of abundance is exhilarating. It's enlivening, and it reduces fear for me, which is a very key disease, starting in early childhood trauma. And so, and it meets the need to feel belonging. And as a sensitive, I can tell if it's sincere. I mean, there is a reality that these are financial transactions, but when a masseuse is happy to see you and is not looking for a tip and is unusually warm and affectionate on an ongoing basis, this is just human nature to like the people you like. And I explain to each masseuse what is my boundary. I cannot do this, this, and this. That doesn't mean I don't like you. You can like me all you want. You just can't kiss me on the lips. You can't massage my genitals. I'm not going to touch your breasts, your vagina. But you are a wonderful woman, and I absolutely enjoy the exchange. I enjoy the presence. I enjoy the energy. I feel horny at times. I enjoy when you feel horny at times, and we're just not going to act on it. And we can go up to the line, and that's fun. But there is a line. There was one moment when the masseuse did drop her towel, that Jen actually doesn't want a masseuse to be nude. And so I have a slightly different line with her than just no genital contact with the intent to arouse. So I averted my eyes and asked her to put her, wrap her towel around her, and out of respect that I let Jen know what had happened, that boundary had been violated, and what I had done to reestablish it, and that it was violated deliberately, that the masseuse was trying to seduce me, and verbally as well, trying to get me to actually switch girlfriends, and she said, give me a try, maybe I'm better than your girlfriend. But I also explained to Jen the reality that someone who is willing to break up a relationship like that when asked to respect a boundary, is not trustworthy around fidelity. I have no interest in an unfaithful woman. And if I really want to, I can have sex with a prostitute. It's just that I've tried that once or twice when I was single, and it's just nothing compared to sex with someone I really care about. And so it's not attractive to me for those reasons. She is one of the best masseuses I've ever met, so she is a very attractive masseuse, but she is not an attractive girlfriend, because no girlfriend of mine would actively and consciously seduce another man or another woman away from their partner. That's just not very caring. It's not very intelligent. It's not at all intelligent when you consider that if you do seduce someone away and they betray their partner for reasons of lust, you have got a man who will betray you for reasons of lust and be seduced by someone else. It's not like these things are personal. You have a character trait or you don't. So in this context, I think my partner is an absolutely wonderful partner, and 3,600% growth in an 18-month period is very high. You'd be astounded to get that rate of return on a hedge fund, or if you could bet money and get 3,600% return on growth is incredible. Now, if my sense is that it can be healthy once a relationship is secure and starts to taper off in its growth and freshness, to have a certain amount of competition in the form of holding a certain agreed boundary, but developing valuable and meaningful relationships with other people, with or without attraction, that are in some ways better than the relationship. For example, I'm way more horny with this masseuse than I am with my partner. Why? The masseuse is more new, so you've got new energy, variety, new energy, and as a trained prostitute, this masseuse is phenomenal at touch, from everything from the silkiness of her skin, which is astounding, to the pressures and rhythms. She knows how to evoke sexual energy in a dramatic and beautiful way, which I enjoy and take home. So I just wanted to put this out there as valuable tapestry and terrain that I almost didn't explore, because there was some part of me saying that I was bad or cheap or manipulative for kind of introducing a certain element of competition. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But it's been interesting to actually watch my partner's appreciation for me and her own self-confidence go up in response to, I've been very candid with my partner that, this masseuse is probably the most sexual evoking person that I've met amongst 70 lovers in my life, several hundred masseuses. It doesn't get, I've never had skin more sensual, than her. I've never had someone pursue me this directly, and on a regular basis. I've never had such delicious massage. I've never felt so alive sexually. And I absolutely want to have sex with this woman. And yet, I'm very clear that I am not going to cross our boundary. And, as far as it went was, after about the fourth massage, I asked Jen, I said, on a 1 to 10 scale, it would be an 8 for me to have a sexual experience with her. What's it for you that we don't, that I don't? And she said, 10 out of 10, and I really saw the intensity on her. But I was like, okay, fine. I'll just enjoy the energy. It's great. It's probably better for me also, by the way. Having had a sexual experience with 3 prostitutes in Thailand, I haven't been left feeling emotionally integrated and positive afterwards. They've been people I've liked when I was single, when they were, of course, single, and very pleasurable physical experiences, but it has not felt healing emotionally. And it's often ended the relationship, meaning the amount of attachment or turmoil that comes into the relationship as a result of orgasm leaves me feeling less comfortable with the whole setup. That she's doing this for money, that she's spending time with other men, the whole thing. And so it's felt self-protective to keep a distance, to go and find another masseuse, after that, where there isn't this awkwardness of need, of the awareness that my feelings will keep growing, that they will not be reciprocated, and that I will then be rejected in a place of need, which is not what I want for myself. And so that's kind of where that's gone when I've been single. And so I don't actually feel like I'm missing something in this. But I do find that it brings an extraordinary amount of well-being, pleasure, health, etc. to my body to be in these, massage dynamics. And there's a very high return on investment in the relationship, etc. And so my conclusion is that in some relationships, after the peak of growth has been maximized one-on-one and begins to taper off, that a healthy sense of competition, that both people have options outside of the relationships within certain boundaries and with transparency, that this can actually re-stimulate the appreciation in the partnership. And it does for me in the sense that for whatever reason, my partner is more lovely and more wonderful, after these things. I come back to find that she's arranged flowers and do this, that, and the other. So she's more lovely in my eyes because of her behavior, and I'm more lovely because the awareness is more present of the honor of the fact that I have, more than 1 billion people to choose from, and that I am valued and attractive to other people. But out of all those people, I'm choosing one person, this person, to invest the majority of my time and care and affection in. And that is an honor, as it should feel like an honor, and is not something to be taken for granted.